Uh, I'm making a quick video to really display to everyone how I want you to annotate. That is our target or our learning goal for today, is to annotate so that we show our comprehension. I have a specific way I want you to do it, which is why I'm making the video in the first place. What I am doing here, I will also upload this so that you can continue the rest of the article. So I will only do a small portion and then you are responsible for the rest. So this is an article that gets us prepared and ready for reading the narrative of Frederick Douglass. As I might have mentioned earlier in our week, that I do have trouble at times imagining the lifestyle of the time period. So I may bring in other resources to help us better understand the environment and the situation of the time period. Okay. So we are practicing book, head, heart. Most of what I am going to show you here is marking what's in the book or the text and jotting down my thinking, which is the annotation. So I want you to use book, head, heart as your form of annotation. I will also show you my summary style that I expect you to use. The text says, the public debate over sanctuary cities has become more common, but remains urgent. Local communities are shielding people who cross the border illegally from being deported. Meanwhile, many lawmakers and judges continue to challenge the Trump administration, which is trying to punish officials who protect these undocumented immigrants. Okay, so something I noticed, I'm going to circle this word. It is unfamiliar to me. Let's see if I can make that bigger like that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is the text that stands out to me, sanctuary cities. And I'm going to make myself a little note here. Sanctuary usually indicates some sort of safety. Spell that right. Okay, so these are some place where someone could be safe, and it seems as if though what we are referring to actually relates to something slightly modern because we are in a different administration. And so I think this has to do with the conversation around immigrants, undocumented. We definitely changed that wording because when I was younger, it was always illegal. And I thought that was kind of a funny way to say that. So what I'm marking are the words in the book. It's the text. And then the things that you are witnessing me type are my thinking as I read that text. Those are the annotations. The book, text or words, head, what's your thinking, okay? All right. Now, I'm using very odd slang, but it's true. Those who came with no papers. And that's kind of what I think about, especially in relationship to the illustration that was in the previous scene. So I'm going to scroll down some more. I'll read the next paragraph. A standoff between federal authorities and local communities is hardly new. As a scholar of slavery and emancipation, I have studied the long history of African American communities and how they offered sanctuary or protection to the most vulnerable among them. The fugitive slave law. Now, that is something I have heard of multiple times. Okay. And it is, when I hear this, it makes me think of bounty hunters. or honestly, police. In my opinion, this is the background for police is the backup of fugitive slave law. Now, when I read this, I'm going to see if I can confirm that. So I'm identifying the words, I'm telling what I'm thinking. I have looked at how, in the 19th century, free Black people openly defied the fugitive slave law of 1850. The law criminalized helping or harboring a runaway slave and denied slaves the right to offer testimony in their defense. State and local officials were punished if they ignored this law. Okay, so that's an interesting concept as well. The word punished and state officials. So I want to circle that. Again, I am showing you my way of annotating. All right. Now that is an interesting concept because someone may have felt that this was morally incorrect, but it was against the law and they could actually be punished within societal law. So I'm going to put my thinking is against moral compass or golden rule. That would be a good one too. Against moral compass or golden rule. So as I keep reading, I'd like you to try it. Notice a word. Pay attention to your thinking. The U.S. Constitution mainly called for the return of runaway slaves should they escape to states where slavery had been abolished. However, the fugitive slave law vastly expanded the authority of federal law enforcement officials to capture them. That's my confirmation word right here. Where they say capture, that's my confirmation of where I said it makes me think about bounty hunters or modern day what we would call police, because I feel like that's the underlying or beginning of what we experience today. So the 1850 law also confirmed that generations of enslaved African Americans knew too well. They existed as property, not persons in the eyes of the law. Enslaved women and men could not legally marry because slaveholders claimed their bodies, time, and movement, while law and custom dictated that. Move it up some more. Law dictated, where did I leave off? Enslaved women gave birth to enslaved children. So, like you inherited your parents' status. Yeah, that's kind of how they're saying it. So let me include my thinking here. Okay, and I'm just going to put confirmed, because that's what I confirmed from previous, where I said what I remember from that's me bringing my background knowledge of the fugitive slave law. And then here, okay, is more of my thinking. So now I've read, let's scroll back. I have read the introduction piece, which is about modern day, as well as the section called the fugitive slave law. So I'm going to summarize just those two sections. Okay. I wonder if I can change the color of the book. Okay. So I like to write something called a 2-sentence summary that allows me to really get the gist of everything that's happening without it being too wordy. I'm using it as a comprehension technique. So I'm annotating my thinking. What's the words? What am I thinking? I am also summarizing as a comprehension technique to help me remember what's going on. So I'm going to say that the most important idea here is that something in the past is showing up again in the present. Okay. And I feel that the narrator or the author is the one who is providing that information. So that's who I'm going to start with. The author. All right. So the item that was told to introduce to us in the introduction is undocumented. So I'm going to use that word undocumented. And I am using what the text has told me. Okay. Let me make this a little smaller, so a little bit around. So again, I am only summarizing the first two sections. Okay. Now, so this was basically the main idea of the whole part at the beginning, right? And what is it? I'm going to do a prediction in my second sentence. Let's see. So, on that. Okay. So that's my summary of this entire section. Let me make it a little bit neater. And I'll read it out loud because I do expect to see you summarize in the same way. All right, so the author wants us to know that undocumented people are being treated as people from 1850. But this is a new century. So we have to combat reliving the past. So I covered the main idea, the major conflict in just the two sections. And I gave either a prediction or some sort of solution that I think may come about in the rest of the text. Now, you are responsible for the next few sections, and you're going to do what I just showed you. You're going to practice writing down what words or circling what words, depending on your style. Writing down what words, circling what words, and then what is it making you think? All right. When you get to the end of the document, you will summarize all the rest of the sections. Okay. Don't worry, I'll give you feedback. I hope this was helpful. I am available for more questions, but I think the video would help you in understanding what you were supposed to do.